building good, solid, happy relationships. And I will discuss that in detail. And the book I will be using is Nectar of Instruction, written by Rupa Goswami and translated by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to share this information with you. And there's so much to be gained from a talk like this, because good human relations are what constitutes, to a good degree, a good motivation, a good enthusiasm. But if persons feel disliked or unappreciated, disrespected, those things, they contribute to a person's not being very happy, and therefore the family life is not very happy. If people are not acting in a proper way. Of course, in the higher sense, a person who's very advanced, he doesn't really care how anyone acts towards him. Couldn't care less, because his relationship is very deep with Krishna, and he knows Krishna loves him, and he feels that love. Nobody can upset him, nobody can disturb him. So we will begin the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers. This will be a long seminar, and we will have a break, or maybe a few. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasura Nandana Vijana Ranjana Yasura Nandana Vijana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasura Nandana Vijana Ranjana Yasura Nandana Vijana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajaka Astatar Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantagudi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Namacharya Haridat Thakur Ki. Prem Sukho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shamakun Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadip Jam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. And all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namom Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Ite Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarane. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, thank you. Wow. Anybody here make this? Make this? Who? Anybody here? No? Well, whoever you are, you made this, Mataji? No? Thank you so very much. It's absolutely beautiful. You don't want it ever to fade. You want to keep it this way forever. Oh, but it won't last forever, unfortunately. But your love for Krishna, hopefully that will last forever, and that's why I accept it on that understanding. So please keep doing such nice service. Krishna is pleased, his devotees are pleased, and Krishna will bless you without limit. Okay? Thank you. So today I will be speaking from the book Nectar of Instruction. And for those who have your smartphones with you, if you want to turn to that book, it's called Nectar of Instruction by Rupa Goswami. And I will be speaking from one particular text, which is text number 4. And it bears very significantly on today's talk, which is really about building happy, solid, fruitful, fulfilling relationships. Thank you, just what I needed. Check it out. Let's keep it this way. And everybody wants a good, happy, solid relationship. If we just think about what is going on today, we can see that people in general have many conflicts within themselves. They have conflicts with their spouses. They have conflicts with their children, conflicts with their relatives, friends, conflicts with their office co-workers, just about everything. This is the age of quarrel. It's called the Kali Yuga, age of quarrel, often referred to as the Iron Age, as opposed to the Golden Age, which was the Satya Yuga, which occurred millions of years ago. Satya Yuga was quite different from today. People were truthful, merciful, austere, and clean. Those are considered the four pillars of Dharma, or the four pillars that uphold a society. If you take away truthfulness, then everybody's liar. Who will you believe? Who will you want to do business with? Austerity is very important for purification. If we don't learn to discipline ourselves, if we don't learn to control our speech, control our mind, control our emotions, then we become like animals. So discipline is a very important part of maintaining a society. When you go to school, you have to discipline. You have to stay there for a number of hours, then they give you a lunch break, and then you have to stay there again. You have to listen, you have to take notes, you have to take examinations in order to be promoted to the next grade or a higher grade. So discipline is very important. We have to learn how to speak to one another. We have to learn how to act towards each other. Much of this is not taught in the school. They teach you a lot of information, you know, how things work, how a tree grows, how the clouds move, how the sun shines. But in terms of, you know, how to interrelate to one another, usually you have to wait till you get to the university level, in which case they have psychology courses, and in those psychology courses they have courses in behavior, but their courses are quite, in our opinion, quite superficial, because they do not go to the heart or the depth. Their knowledge is quite limited to the worldly, to the seeable or the visible. The sages have vision that these psychologists do not have. That vision you can get only when we become highly purified. By the way, I'm taking the garland not because I don't want it, but because it's heavy on my neck and it becomes an irritant. So, what was the last point I made? I'm sorry. Does anybody remember? The last point I made? No? Nobody remembers? Yes, psychologists, yeah. So their knowledge is quite is scant and limited to the external and the material. They really don't understand what is going on. They address only the superficial. Whereas our sages, they go much deeper. They get their guidance from the Supreme Lord. And as a result of the guidance coming from the Supreme Lord, we get a different level, a different of understanding, a deeper level of understanding, so that we can put a final end to many of the social and personal and business problems that we have. Final end means that no more, finished, not they keep cropping up in different areas. different places and different ways. Sometimes you put an end to one habit, like a bad habit you may have, smoking. And finally, a person feels, yes, I finally got rid of the smoking habit. So he has a new habit, he has a coffee habit. It goes from one place. The mode of ignorance has to be removed. If you don't remove the mode of ignorance and passion, then the habit just shifts to some other place. That's unfortunate, but that's the truth. How many people I know have told me they've gone on weight-reducing programs, and I lost 50 pounds, just look at me, oh, I look beautiful now, just see. And then 3 months later, the 50 pounds were back on again. Why is that? Because what causes a person to gain weight is not merely the eating, but it's the mode of nature that motivates you to eat more than what the body really needs. People are not eating only for health or for stamina or for vigor, but they eat for pleasure. So the body doesn't need it, it's not hungry, but the tongue is always crying out, more, new taste, give me more taste. So therefore, what happens is that we put on more and more weight. So the problem is in the mode. And the question is how to get rid of the passion and ignorance which provokes this type of situation. Excuse me. Sorry. So as I mentioned from the very outset, we live in a world of conflict. People have lost control over their minds, over their emotions, their feelings. And they've reached the boiling points where there's exploding. So much we are hearing now, especially on the news, about people going into nightclubs and shooting people at random without any hostility for anyone in particular, without justification, as they say, killing innocent people. And this is happening all over. Police officers killing black people who are not even armed, not even showing a weapon, and big riots coming as a result. These are things which are going on. And people are just kidnapping, raping, looking for opportunities to kill, serial killing going on. All these things are going on. Of course, many people think, well, it's not going to happen to me. We shouldn't be so sure. Of course, most devotees, it will not happen, because if you are depending upon Krishna for his mercy, those things generally don't. But for the general public, they don't know how to stop it. They don't know how to avoid it. They don't know who's in charge. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am seated in everyone's heart and am directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. So he's the one who's directing people to do these different things. But he doesn't tell somebody to go kill somebody. That's not Krishna's business. What Krishna does is the person decides himself that he wants to kill as a result of what has developed and what has grown, what is built up over his life. And there is so much animosity, there's so much hatred, there's so much venom in their being, and they need to find somebody to let it out on. When you're feeling like at a boiling point, you're about to explode, then you need an object on which to vent your venom, vent your anger, your hatred. And if it's just mere anger or mere hatred, that's not so bad. But when it comes to the point of buying guns or taking knives or strangling because the person is looking for pleasure from doing that, this is unfortunate. And this is the age we live in. That is why it is important for devotees to develop their loving sentiments. Because even a person who's very hostile, full of animosity and hatred for people, he can be charmed, just like a snake can be charmed by mantras, to give up, at least at that moment, his tendency to want to strike. So therefore, the devotees, if they learn to express themselves in a gentle and a sweet and a loving way, and not be upset, not be angered, not be disturbed, then life goes on much better. And you will not have so many terrible things going on, which we see in the news stories every day. We find somebody is going out and killing somebody. In my day, in 1940s and 50s, it was hardly ever. There were big gangs, big, mafia existed, and Al Capone and all of these Dillinger. There were mobs, but that was what you call isolated type of things. Now it's just happening everywhere. Wherever you go, persons come into the school as students, and they have a gun, and then they start shooting as many students as they can. Because they're full of wrath, full of anger, full of hostility. So we have to be the persons who develop that love, that peace, that strength, so that when these people come in contact with us, they're pacified, they're calmed, and they begin to feel that somebody maybe cares for them, somebody likes them, or somebody loves them. Many people do these things but they feel unloved. So I'm going to start now this chapter. I hope all of you who have the smartphones, we're on text number 4, Nectar of Instruction. Dadati pratigranati. God, Guyam akyati prachati. Bhankti bojayate chaiva. Sadvidam priti lakshanam. Dadati pratigranati. Guyam akyati prachati. Bhunkte bojayate chaiva. Sadvidam priti lakshanam. Dadati pratigranati. Guyam akyati prachati. Bhunkte bojayate chaiva. Sadvidam priti lakshanam. Okay, translation. Offering gifts in charity. Just one moment. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Please repeat. Offering gifts in charity. Accepting charitable gifts. Revealing one's mind in confidence. Inquiring confidentially. Accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So this is the basis of this entire chapter, and Srila Prabhupada has a very lengthy purport, and I will try my best to, excuse me just a moment, to get the seat set up. Yes, so Srila Prabhupada explains this verse in very great detail, and we will be taking a few hours in that, and I will be asking if anyone has any questions or comments as we move along. I'm not going to read the whole purport to begin with. We will read it and discuss it as we go along. It is 17-page long. Purport. In this verse, so who is the author of this book, Nectar of Instruction? Rupa Goswami. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how to perform devotional activities in the association of other devotees. There are 6 kinds of activities. Here they are. 1, giving charity to devotees. Accepting from the devotees whatever they may offer in return. accepting charity. Opening one's mind to the devotees, in other words, revealing your mind, expressing your mind, especially if you have some problems. Those devotees who are senior or advanced, and you need some guidance, some direction, maybe your spiritual master is far away. So you reveal your mind in the hope that the person will not only hear you, but be able to help you understand your problem and bring it to a quick resolution. Inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord, how to serve God properly, perfectly. And number 5, honoring prasad, or spiritual food. So what is prasad? You can raise your hand. Who will give me an answer? What is, we call it prasad. Well, of course, that means the mercy of God. But what does that actually mean in terms of what we're talking about here? Somebody like to volunteer, please? Come on, don't be shy.
Giving the remnants of whatever has been offered to the Lord and whatever the God has tasted, having the remnants of what is left.
Yeah, so whatever the Lord, you offer the food to the Lord, and He eats it invisibly, of course. If He ate it visibly, then there would not be nothing left for us. And sometimes that happens in very advanced cases. So He eats it invisibly, and then whatever when He tastes it, and His mouth is on it, and His vibrations are all over it, that is what we call the mercy, is pure spiritual vibrations, okay? So we have to, I'm going to be dealing with definitions of words throughout the talk to be sure that everyone understands. So do we all have a clear understanding? Some of you may be new. What prasad is? Prasad is, in the case of food, it is, as he said, nice word, remnants, what Krishna leaves over for us. And then we partake of it. And by partaking of that which is highly charged with spiritual vibration, enters us, affects us, and spiritualizes us. Is that clear? I want to see heads. Okay. That's the only way I know if I'm making any sense. So we honor prasad. To honor it means when you eat it, you're not just gobbling down food and filling your belly. Honor means to give honor, or to give praise, to give glory. So you're in effect saying, my dear Lord, this food is charged. It's suffused with your spiritual vibration. And I am taking it so that I can improve, or I can become better in loving service to you. This is the whole idea. How we can become better in loving service to the Supreme Lord. So that means honoring. We honor, my Lord, I honor you by taking this, because it is truly beneficial, and I am the beneficiary of it. Okay? So that is what it means to honor God. We come to the temple to honor Him, to pay homage, to pay respect, to look up to Him, to praise Him, to worship Him. This is honoring the Lord. Feeding the sick, that was 5. Honoring prasad, or spiritual food given by the devotees. Feeding the devotees with prasad. An experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. This is guhyam akyati pritchati. When a devotee distributes prasadam, remnants of food, offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasad as the Lord's grace, His kindness, His affection, His appreciation of our service. Okay? Received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees to our home, offer them prasad, and be prepared to please them in all respects. This is called bhunkte bhojate chaiva. And this is going on throughout our ISKCON society. as I travel around, generally I don't only come to the temple, such as here, but most of the devotees who go to the different temples, they have what is known as home programs, or I think they call it Bhakti Vakash, I think. Is that the way it's? Bhakti Vriksha, yeah, sorry. Bhakti Vriksha programs, in which, somebody said something? Bhakti Vriksha, in which they come and we discuss these different principles which are going to be discussed throughout the next few hours. So home programs are very nice because you not only invite the speaker, but you invite the person who are the devotees in either your neighborhood or your community or maybe even that city. And they come to your home and some of them bring some gifts, they bring prasadam. And then after the end, after we have chanted together, they heard the discourse together. And as a result of doing all of this, everyone is benefited. Excuse me, the children are moving around and it's not easy on me. So if they continue to move, I don't blame the children, but they are children. They're supposed to move around. They're doing what they're supposed to. But I'm trying to maintain a focus on my talk. I can't do that with children walking around. Even though I love your children, and I'd love to do some nice, funny voices for them and entertain them, but this is not a time for that. So I'm more than happy, and I welcome you, and I'm grateful that you took the time to come. But somebody has to watch the children. If that's not you, then somebody else. And I'm more than happy to share this with you. We can't. So please accept my apologies, but I cannot do it any other. The children are just moving all around, jumping on your back, and this and that. It's not Monkey Village, you know. This is a temple in which there is a special expectation of behavior. So again, thank you very much for coming. I deeply appreciate. So this, getting back, feeding devotees. So I was just explaining the whole principle, the whole idea of having a home program. And some of us may even think about this. Sometimes you want to spiritualize your home. So that's one way of doing it. And devotees bring prasad, just as what I've read. And you also have cooked prasad. And at the end of the talk, usually there's some kirtan where you all get together for a half hour or so and you chant Hare Krishna, and you all Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And therefore you all enliven one another. You enthuse one another, you uplift one another, and then you honor the prasad. Then you sit and you eat, and you have a nice, convivial, friendly, warm conversation, even about some of your personal things, such as what your work, but it should have a spiritual tilt or a spiritual inclination, not merely some gossip about who insulted you yesterday, or whether you're going to lose your job or this or that. Of course, that's not something bad to talk about. If you're really in anxiety and you want somebody to help you to get out of the anxiety, well then, yeah, I'm in anxiety. I don't know how to deal with this. I can't detach myself. If I lose my job, then I can't pay off my mortgage. And also my car payments, they'll take my car away. So how do I get out of it? What do I do? People ask me this all the time, as if I'm supposed to be an advisor on how to deal with these kind of problems. As we know in America today, all over the world, everyone is, they say, in hock or in debt up to the neck, over the eyeballs because of credit cards. Some people I see, they open up their wallets, they got 6, 8 credit cards there. So, and they borrow against the different credit cards. They take money from that credit card to pay off this credit card. And then sometimes things get really bad and they have to get 2 jobs. So here we are, we have all this technology. And as a result of the technology, which make things easier, simpler, faster, and yet people are more miserable than ever. Years and years ago, people, they only lived in their home or just beside their home. They lived on the farm, or they did handiwork. They were carpenters, or plumbers, or diggers, well diggers. But in any event, they had some trade, some occupation. And they didn't have to travel far. Usually everything was in the same community, in the same area. And everybody knew one another. And you worked, you know, you got up early, and then you quit your job, quit at 4 or 5 o'clock, and you didn't have to spend 2 hours on a freeway. You have a car to get someplace faster, sooner, but you spend 2 hours on the freeway, which could be used ideally for, you know, for some spiritual work. It's nice if you can have your own, you can have a job which is either in your own home or at least near the home, so that we don't have to travel so much. Of course, one of my friends, I mentioned that in the class a little earlier this morning, he loves the traffic. Why does he love it? He has these audio books that I have recorded of Srila Prabhupada's paper books. And he loves the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He loves the way I recorded it. He's very much into the narration. It has music and sound effects, and it gets him absorbed. So when there's a big, big traffic glitch, and traffic is moving like 1 mile an hour, 2 miles an hour, he's in ecstasy because he gets a chance to hear the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. Did you ever hear anything like that, where a person actually loves the traffic? Welcome to Kali Yuga. It's unbelievable. But yes, the person, he listens to this. He's not the only one. I can't tell you many. I get letters all the time from people. Thank you. Now I have something constructive, something you think useful and beneficial to do while I'm caught in this traffic glitch. And sometimes it can last, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours. A traffic that you normally takes you 1 to 2 hours to, or 1 hour to get, can take you 2 and 2.5 hours, especially if you have snowstorms like they have in this part of the country in this winter time. So, but many of the other people who don't have this understanding and don't have this goal, they're just cursing under their breath. When is this thing going to, you know, a person moves who's ahead of them and moves maybe just a few inches. So, it's going to end now. And then it stops. 5 more minutes. And then another 2 or 3 inches going forward. Or maybe now, please, God, please. Another 5 minutes. And the person is just cursing. When is this going to end? You know, I'm hungry. I want to get home. I want to see my wife and my kids and see my home. I want to catch the evening news. I won't know what's happening. You know, like that. So therefore, people are not happier. That's material happiness, of course, but they're not even materially happy, even though they're striving and trying and endeavoring so hard to become materially happy. So technological improvements are good for the devotees because we have all the computers, you know, and the computers, I can just print out this thing right out of my printer. It's wonderful. I love my cell phone. All of these things facilitate my going and coming to deliver or receive spiritual knowledge. What could be better than that? Prabhupada was very happy with the printing press because it allowed the Brihat Madanga, the scriptures, to go far and wide, whereas before they just would go to a few people. And so only a few people would know about this great philosophy. But now we have millions of people. Somebody close the door there, please. Thank you. Now we have millions of books which have gone into many homes. They're not all being read. But some of them that are not being read, there are times which are crucial, which are problematical, which are difficult. And they've gone here, they've tried this, they've tried that. So many people they've gone to, and they have not found the solution to their problems, to their anxiety, to their stress. Yes, they take pills or so, but that doesn't help because it takes the juice or the desire to live out of them. And the result of this, of course, is that people become frustrated, so they take that book that they got, you know, from the book distributor on the street, and they open it up, and they start to read it, and they say, yeah, that makes sense. And they turn the next page, well, that makes sense. There's my problem right there. I'm not showing any devotion to God. I'm not trying to learn who God is. I'm not trying to find out who I am. I'm not glorifying God. He's giving me food and clothing and shelter and health and medication and education. He's giving me all these things, and I'm not even thinking about Him and even thanking Him. If somebody keeps giving you gifts and you don't say thank you, that's considered very impolite, isn't it? Very discourteous. How many people are saying when they wake up in the morning, thank you, Lord, for another day. Thank you for the sunlight that I'm actually seeing. Thanks for these two eyes that you give me to see the beautiful sunshine, the beautiful trees, the beautiful flowers, the beautiful fruits. You allow me to see all these wonderful things, and I cannot thank you enough. Not only see the beautiful fruits, but taste them. And then when I get a lot of them or an extra amount of them, I can share them with others. So that is the, that is the situation that people need to. They need to show their appreciation. They need to show, the gratitude. They need to show the respect for God. This is the cause of all the problems. People have become godless, thinking, who are the gods of today's people? Who are they worshiping? They're worshiping the computer, worshiping the mobile phone, and all the new apps and all the new computer games. This is the God for today. Computer games. I can't remember. I don't watch those things. I never play them. But I see people all day long. Even you see in the planes. It used to be a day people, years ago, they'd have a magazine or they have a book they were reading. Now, everybody, they're playing against themselves. What is the benefit? What is the value? Just an endless distraction. And all of this distraction leads to nothing. It gives to no fulfillment, no satisfaction, except egotistical satisfaction. I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm important, I'm valuable, I won the game today. Tomorrow you lose the game, then you feel miserable. The next day you win the game, then you feel happy. So all of this happiness and distress is a horrible type of situation because it leads to nothing except ultimately maybe more and more anxiety, more nervous breakdowns, more suicides, more dislike of life itself, more people going to mental hospitals. It's just a fact. More people going out and shooting people. This is Kali Yuga. The only way you can escape the effects of it is you have to take shelter of Krishna, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And all activities just depend upon me, and you work under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but you act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So Krishna tells you, you want to succeed in this horrible age you live in, then you depend upon me. You take shelter in me. You look to me for guidance. You show your love to me. Yes, you may love. That's another thing I see out the window. I'm up on the 4th floor, I think. And I look out the window and I see so many people with dogs. Not one dog. People are carrying 4 dogs. I mean, it's amazing. But of course, they're probably dog watchers. You pay them when you go on vacation and they take care of your dog. They feed them and make sure they get a walk in the morning. And so you have a dog. Why do you need a dog? Because you feel unloved. So when you give your dog some chocolate, he eats it, then he licks your face. And he goes like this, you feel loved. So even if the whole world doesn't love me, at least my dog loves me. What kind of a life is this? What kind of a compromise is this? Love should be, between human beings. They should enjoy the reciprocation, which we're getting into in today's talk. Reciprocation of loving affairs, giving gifts, accepting gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, giving prasad, accepting prasad. This develops real love in the heart, and it awakens one to Krishna consciousness. Now, there's no harm in having a dog if the dog serves a utilitarian purpose. Not he should just make up for because we can't find love with human beings because we're so full of animosity and hatred and anxiety and stress. So we get a dog to take the place of human beings, that's not a good idea. But you can have a dog, he can actually be a watchdog for your home. Put him to work, let him do some devotional service. So a dog that does devotional service, he may go back home, back to Godhead too. He's watching the deities, making sure anyone gets near, he starts, you know, they're very territorial and very proprietous. They start barking all over the place. Why? Because this is their place, and they don't want anybody coming unless the master gives full approval. Okay? So therefore, the idea there is that animals can serve a purpose. When we didn't have motor cars, we had horses. So they served a purpose from getting one place to another a little bit faster. So, but the main point, the main idea is this, is that we should not use them as love objects. If any object, any animal should be loved, it's the cow. The cow, it gives you milk, and you can make so many products from the milk products. That's why we have this expression, holy cow. You ever hear that, holy cow? The cow is holy and very dear to Lord Krishna. So the result of that is that the cow being very dear to Krishna, because he serves so many wonderful purposes. As I said, you can make so many different milk products, so many different desserts from milk itself. And the cow is a very peaceful, very lovable animal. If you see when it has a calf, how it licks, it's always licking the head and the back of the calf and giving milk. And also there are other products. The cow's urine is used for medicine. And the cow's dung is also used for, they use it for walls. Somehow some type of insulation is put on the walls, I see in India. So it serves many, many different purposes. It's used for fuel as well. They burn the fuel. So I don't know if any dog that does this kind of, all these type of wonderful things, but nobody says holy dog. It's generally holy cow. So that's because the cow is truly and holy. And that's why Srila Prabhupada emphasizes very strongly the cow protection. It's very important. And anytime we can get people to become vegetarians and stop eating, killing these animals, so they have to have the steaks or filet mignons or sirloins or all of that, and they can find out they can live quite nicely, quite well, without those types of foods. Sometimes they come out with this bogus criticism or this bogus complaint that, well, you need more protein. My God, if you take 5 different beans, you'll get so much protein that you can't even imagine. Then you add 5 different nuts to that, you have all the protein you need. You have Olympic people, Olympic swimmers and runners, vegetarians. And look at the big gorilla. He's a vegetarian. He's powerful. Is he weak? He's strong. And look at the elephant. He eats hundreds of pounds of vegetation every day. He's not weak. He's very powerful. So these are all bogus arguments because people like the taste of meat. They like the drinking blood. It kind of goes back to maybe when there were vampires. So they want to recall that wonderful effect. Today they don't be because they get arrested if they grab somebody and start taking the blood out of their mouth, out of their neck. So this way you can, legally, you can take someone's steak. A lot of people I know, they say, yes, medium rare, make sure there's plenty of blood on the plate. They say like that. So therefore they drink the blood. When I was a kid, I loved it. Yeah, I was a real demon. No question about it. I don't know how Krishna was so merciful, allows me to actually be repulsed by those things now. But the point is this, is that mode of ignorance, mode of passion predisposes you towards those type of tastes. And the result of those tastes is that you get habituated to them. And then they affect us physically, physiologically. And they affect our mentally. People become very angry easily, very upset easily when you give into a meat diet predominantly. All of these things are difficult. So therefore, in Krishna consciousness, we think very strongly to try to be very kind, very gentle, very warm to the animals and treat them because they are souls. Some people think animals don't even have a soul. Many of the Christians, they think like that. So what's wrong with eating the meat? They don't have a soul. So Prabhupada always answered them, always had good arguments, for them. I won't go into those arguments now, but the more that you read of Srila Prabhupada's books, that you'll see the arguments are quite cogent, quite compelling, and quite convincing. So let me move on to the next. By the way, for those of you who've come in a little later, this is a seminar on building better relationships among devotees and among, especially devotee families, or relationships even among people in general, what we have to do, but this is particularly focuses on the, with respect to devotees. So getting back to the reading, I'm reading from Nectar of Instruction, which I'm sure many of you have read, and I'm on my own page too. Okay, going to the next paragraph. Even in ordinary social activities, these 6 types of dealings between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. For those who came in a little late, I will give those 6 very quickly. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Even in ordinary social activities, these 6 types of dealings between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. For instance, one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, and he arranges a feast in a hotel, and over the feast openly expresses what he wishes to do. So that's a very common, what they call business lunches. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act, and sometimes presents presents are exchanged. Thus, whenever there is a dealing of priti or love in intimate dealings, these 6 activities are executed. So this is an interesting principle. For example, let us say you want to sell some particular product, to a person, and this person buys those products, and he's buying them from somebody else, but you want to get the account if possible. So you invite him out to dinner, but even before dinner, you try to find out either from his wife or his friends, what does he like best? Does he like samosas? Does he like halva? Does he like sweet rice? What's his favorite? Because you really want to mellow him out, because he has a little bit of tension now. He knows the purpose of this business lunch is to get him to become your customer. So he's a little bit tense. He doesn't want to be influenced unless the price is so good that he can't resist it. So anyway, he finds out exactly what he likes, and then they go out and they have lunch, but he asks his wife to make, he finds out he likes halva, he likes sweet rice, and he likes sandesh. That's his favorite. So his wife makes up the most delicious sandesh, and he brings it in a little package, you see. And then they have the dinner, and they're talking about this, that, not even about business yet. Oh, I went here I went on a cruise, and I went to, went to Hawaii, or I went to Catalina, or I went to the different islands in the Caribbean. And they're just talking friendly, because if you get too much into business immediately there's defenses go up, you see. So you want to, what we call, mellow him out, so to speak, warm him, make things friendship. Even when I have to preach in New Dwarka, at the Sunday feast, the first thing I talk about is let them talk about themselves for 10, 15 minutes. What do you do? Where are you from? Are you in school? Did you graduate? What was your major in college? What kind of work are you doing? Do you like your job? All this kind of thing. Oh, they love it because they're becoming the star of the conversation. And I do that, and I talk to them, and they very much, because a point is reached in that conversation when they say, and what do you do? I said, this is what I do. I talk to people about what they do, and then if there's a little, maybe be some problem, or some difficulties, some trial, some tribulation, some something that's bothering them, I try to help them resolve it in whatever way I can through the methods of Krishna consciousness. Whatever Srila Prabhupada has taught me through his books, and whatever guidance he gives me from within, whatever Krishna gives me in guidance. So I try to assist and help. So by that time, he's my friend. Well, a friend doesn't mind revealing his mind. It's only when he feels you're a stranger. So he's been talking and talking and talking. And I've been listening, and not only listening, but asking, and what about this? And how did you handle this? And what about when you went here? So he's talking about all these wonderful things that he did, and it's bringing back memories of pleasantries, of things that were very enjoyable. So that conversation is becoming very mellow, very soft and sweet. And then, as I said, he comes to the point where he says, what do you do? And then he says, well, we haven't even talked about product yet. We haven't even gotten to that. He says, well, I have this one little problem. He said, whenever I come home, my wife, she treats me indifferently. She doesn't show affection towards me. He says, I don't know why. I act very warm and affectionate towards her. Then we get into that a little bit. Did you buy her, on your anniversary, did you buy her a gift last time? Or did you respect her birthday the last time? He said, oh, I forgot her birthday last time. That's like dropping a bomb on her head. Especially ladies, they're very sentimental about these things. You bring them flowers, oh, it's so nice, So I know my mother was just like that. She had a bondbroker, and on her birthday, he used to send a big bouquet of flowers. Well, she was his customer for life, no question about it. And on Christmas, he'd send this big box of fruits. What's those two guys, his name, Joe and Jacob, or something like that? They're very famous fruit. Anybody remember? Okay, it doesn't really matter. The main point is this, is that, so after a while, the person is so mellow, he's so easygoing, and it's a friendship. They kind of like know each other, and they have the feeling that they've known each other for a long time. This is a very great art, by the way, of being able to make people feel that you're their friend for the last 100 years. Some people I know, I talk to them a few minutes, and I feel like I've known them for a long, long, long time. So once that happens, and then you give some suggestions about how you can aid or how you can assist, how you can help their personal life, they are willing to do something for you. Automatically, they feel in the heart some sense of obligation. This person has tried to or has done something very nice for me, and I want to do something back, and they don't know. So then you begin to talk about, well, I have a product. You use this product, and you buy this product from another company, and maybe you might find in my product there's something which is advantageous more so than the other company. So he said, well, what is it? Tell me what the advantage would be. Well, then he gets into the different advantages, and then he comes down to the price. How much are you paying for 10,000 of whatever? And he tells us, this is what we pay. He says, well, I can lower that price 1/4. He says, 1/4 you can lower it? And plus you get all the advantages. Already he's his friend. He says, well, of course, that sounds reasonable. Why don't you send me a few samples? And we'll try them out, and I'll show them to my board of directors, and we'll discuss it. And it sounds really wonderful. Well, he's got his foot in the door now. He's got his product in the door. It's only a matter of them now trying it out, using it, and if they can get it 25% off from what they're paying, then he's a new customer. So that's what Prabhupada is talking about here, basically. Learning how to make good friends with persons. But the motive that we have is to try to make them into devotees, and ideally and ultimately into pure devotees. And that, of course, can come when we take interest in other people's. I think I told that story about how I preached to one particular person at the Los Angeles temple for at least 5 years. I can remember. And we would talk about this, that, and the other thing. Hardly any philosophy. He told me, quite frankly, I don't really care about your philosophy. He said, I don't care about all these pictures. I only like your food. He said, that's the only reason I come. I love your halva. I love this sabji. And I love your sweet rice. It's just super delicious. I bring some home for my kids and my wife. They love it. They love me because of it. So this went on like for 5 years. Prabhupada said that's our first line of attack. To attack the tongue. Once you defeat the tongue, then you get the rest. The eyes, the ears, the nose, and the brain. So anyway, so what happened was that he would tell me that he doesn't care about any of these things. But little did he know that gradually, slowly, he was becoming purified by the prasadam. The prasadam is Krishna's mercy. It's Krishna's vibration. And slowly, his brain was undergoing transformation. His heart was undergoing transformation. He didn't know it, but something was taking place inside. And after 5 years, one day he says to me, you know, I love your food. Your people simply really know how to cook. Tell me, what are you about? What is this whole philosophy about? He asks me now. I don't tell him, here's what we're about. No, he asks me. He feels that I have done so much good for him that now he wants to know about what this Krishna consciousness is. And then I take out a few little books. I say, here's some small books. You can read those. And I will explain every word you don't understand. And little by little, you will learn this philosophy. And you'll learn, you or your wife or both of you can learn how to cook the way we cook. And you can make the sandesh, you can make the halwa in your own home. He says, really? Then you mean I don't have to travel here to 10 miles to get it? No, you don't really have to, but I think you'll want to. Because I'm going to take you into the temple. I'm going to show you all these beautiful deities that we have. I'm going to tell you stories about them, and it's going to blow your mind. He says, I'm ready, let's go. Why? Because he's now become my friend. And once a person becomes your friend, because he feels you've done some good to him over a period of time, then he's willing and ready and eager to learn about what you have. It's the science and the psychology of reaching the heart of people, doing things for them. And that's what it says here, giving prasad. And prasad means giving him Krishna. When you give them Krishna, you give them love. You give them peace. You give them truth. You give them knowledge. They don't know it. It's all going on invisibly because the vibration of Krishna is purity. And as time goes by, it's a little like, let me just explain it a little clearer. Let us say my hand is just full of filth, full of dirt, full of mud. Okay, so I take some water and I take a little of the mud off. I take water and I take more off. So over and over you keep doing this with your hand. And the result is that eventually, slowly, surely, you get the mud off your hand, and your hand is clean and clear. Similarly, prasadam is like the soap that dissolves the filth. The filth means the lust and the anger and the greed and the envy and the jealousy and the pride and the sloth and the gluttony, all those wonderful, wonderful characteristics that we develop and which hold us back from developing spiritually and developing love for Krishna. So, therefore, what happens, the result is that Krishna gradually takes not only root in their heart, cleanses them. When you're cleansed, the natural thing is for you to feel repulsion or repugnance towards things which are in the mode of passion or ignorance. And you become more attracted to those things which are in the mode of goodness. Goodness meaning doing helpful things, doing things which are useful or beneficial, things which may relieve people of their sufferings, their troubles, doing sacrificial things. We give up your time or your life, your day for someone's benefit. People, they spend time, they do charitable work in hospitals, things like that. So you have more of a desire when you're in the mode of goodness to spread Krishna consciousness than when you're in the mode of ignorance or passion, because it goes against the grain of your consciousness. Passion and ignorance, passion means you just want to defeat somebody. You want to get into a contest. You want to get into an argument. You want to put somebody down. You want to win. That's what mode of passion is, win, win, win. But it really is lose, lose, lose. Because as many times as you win, you will eventually lose. There's always somebody better. And when you have to leave the body, well, all the gains, you can say bye-bye to all the gains there. Bye-bye. And then you leave it. And what happens with that body? It just goes to the worms, or it goes to the dogs, or it goes to the fire. All your accomplishments, you spend 60, 70 years to achieve something, only to say bye-bye to it. Does that make sense? But in spiritual life, you don't lose what you gain. Everything you gain today, you will use for tomorrow. And everything you use that tomorrow, you will gain further. And little by little, what happens is that spiritual life really takes root, develops in us, and we begin to slowly but surely feel the presence of God. The presence of God it's a feeling of peace, a feeling of inner strength, inner confidence, a feeling of love, that you love everyone and everything because God loves everyone and everything, and you're feeling His love coming through you. You look at the trees, you love the trees because they are of God. You look at somebody who years ago you may have hated because he has a long beard like this. You hate people with beards, you know. But now it doesn't matter with the beard because he's not the beard. He's the soul. And if he's the soul, he's part and parcel of God. And if you love God, then you love Him because He's part of God. So that's the way it goes. And that's part of developing useful, helpful relationships. Thus, whenever there is a dealing of priti or love in intimate dealings, these 6 activities are executed. In the previous verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advised that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. It's called Sangha Tyagat, Sato Vritehe, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Keep company with devotees. Because the non-devotees, they will want you to do things that are not helpful for developing spiritual qualities. They want you to drink whiskey or alcohol, or, hey, let's go to Vegas for the weekend and blow a few $1,000s. You know, this is what they want you to do. And if you say you don't want to, well, what kind of a person are you? Don't you want to have a little fun in life? You're just wasting your time. Fun? That's fun to watch your money go out of your pockets, and you come home, you don't even, and your wife says, where's the paycheck? And you say, well, I thought I'd win a little more, use it, and win some more money so we can buy a new car. But, well, where's the money? Well, I lost it all. Well, what are we going to eat on? My credit card? So this is what's going on, you see. Gambling, illicit sex. I won't even go into that. There's enough on TV to educate you. The illicit sex and eating of meat and fish and eggs and all these type of things. So when we partake of those type of things, that happens when you associate with persons. So Prabhupada is saying, try to stay away from that association if possible. And if you can do that, then what happens is that you credit yourself. When you associate with persons who violate these 4 principles that I just mentioned, you degrade yourself. So when you degrade yourself, what happens is that you go down spiritually. The merits that you have when you come to the temple like you're doing today, and you're looking at the deities and appreciating them, praying to them, worshiping them, all that merit down the drain, gone because of eating of the meat or the fish or the eggs or drinking wine or drinking whiskey or rum or any of these things. We don't need that. The kind of joy we want is the joy which comes from within. It comes from Krishna. And when he gives you his joy, he gives you his bliss, well, there's nothing that can compare to it. And it's permanent. Although at the beginning it may come and go, but eventually if you stick to this program of Krishna consciousness, it will become a permanent part. I know, because I used to see it come and go. I would be joyful, blissful, then it would be gone, and then it would come in again, stay a little longer, and then leave me. This is the process of developing perfection. And then it comes and it stays longer and longer and longer until you're always blissful, always peaceful, always happy. This is what everybody wants. Would you like to know why everybody wants to always be happy? Anybody want to know? I don't see any heads. Oh, I got one finger going up? Well, that's not enough. Only one person wants to know why we want to always be happy. I'm serious. You want to know? Okay. Anybody else want to know? Because if you don't raise your hand, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, looks like we got a full house now. Let me tell you how it all started. Originally, we were all Krishna conscious living entities, living in the eternal world, the spiritual world. This is called the material world, and the spiritual world is divided. Well, there are many plateaus. This is the Earth planet. Between the Earth planet and the Sun planet, those of you who do Gayatri Mantra, you know, Bur is here. Bhuva is between the Earth planet and the Sun planet. Om, Bur, Bhuva, Sva. Then comes the Svarga Loka. And then above Svarga Loka, you have Martya Loka. These are different plateaus in the planetary system. Martya Loka, and then Jana Loka. These are where great sages, they live, and they, Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, and also Brahma Loka. And then after Brahma Loka, no more lokas in the material world. Then comes the Viraja River, or the causal ocean, in which Lord Vishnu, he's lying down there, resting. And in the Viraja River, or it's not a river, it's an ocean, it's a causal ocean. It divides the material world from the spiritual world. So the spiritual world is, everyone is in ecstasy, everyone is joyful, everyone is happy, and all everyone does there is they serve God. But they have different degrees of love, just as we all have different degrees of love. For example, you have three, a daughter, son, daughter, and they all love their mother, but they all don't love the mother to the same degree. We have different degrees of love, is it not? Like this one, the son, he's always on his mother's, holding her hand, and or the little daughter, she's always on her daddy's, she's holding on to him. So different degrees of love. Similarly, in the spiritual world, everybody doesn't have the same degree, same amount. Come right in. This is, oh, you want to, that's okay. So, anyway, so in the spiritual world, everyone is full of love and devotion to the Supreme Lord. But they have different degrees of intensities of love, just as we do here. And then there are some which you go to the highest level of Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is the spiritual world. The highest level is known as Goloka. And in Goloka, the level of love is very intense, very absorbed. They cannot hardly even think of separating from Krishna for even a moment. If they separate from him physically, they don't separate from him mentally. They're always with the feeling, the presence that Krishna is with me. And they're crying in separation. So in Goloka, the love is generally so strong that the people rarely will fall from that planet. I'll explain why. When you love, let me explain the level of their love. If you take 2 bricks and you put a smear of cement on the 2 bricks and you put the 2 bricks together, if it's only a light smear, then you can take the bricks and yank them apart because the cement is not, the bond is not very strong. If you put more cement on, it takes a little more strength, a little more effort to get those bricks apart because the cement is thicker. And then if you take the 2 bricks and make real thick cement, You can't even get them apart. The only way you could possibly, you have to take a sledgehammer and crack the cement. That's what love is about. Some have love which is like this. You cannot separate them from Krishna for a moment. They don't want to even think of that. The sense of independence, although we all have independence, they don't want their independence. They want only to be always depending upon Krishna in the sense of they just want to serve him. They want to give him things. They want to sing for him. They want to cook for him. They want to play musical instruments. They want to dance for him. They want to look beautiful for him. They want to play with him because he likes play. All they want to do is to give pleasure. That's what love is about, giving pleasure. You have a daughter, you have a son, you have this. What is your love? You give pleasure to the son or the daughter. Whether it's through education, whether it's through sense pleasure, through the tongue, whether it's something through the eyes, something for the mind, some puzzle, but you help the child develop or experience some kind of pleasure. This is what love is. Giving pleasure to your child, giving pleasure to your wife, giving pleasure to your mother. That's why we say, I love my mother. That means, not a word. So many people, they use this word so loosely nowadays. I hear them, they're on the phone, love you, yeah, I love you. But what kind of love is this? How much sacrifice is this? Then 2 days later, they're filing for divorce. Love you? What love? It's so casual and so indifferent. This is Kali Yuga, and no depth to any of this. And this is what this philosophy is about, to develop real, true, deep, rooted love for the Supreme Lord, so that everything is loved because you feel and sense the pleasure or the association of God in all things, in the trees, in the earth, in the sun, in the clouds, in the air. Lord Vayu is making the air come. Lord Varuna is taking care of the ocean. The sun god Surya, he's taking care of the sun. And they're all working, serving the Supreme Lord. And all we can do is say, wow, that sun god, he never fails. He's up there every day. Let me try to emulate him. Let me try to do like he's doing in my service. And when we have that kind of mentality, the moon, you can predict the moon, the light is going to come, half moon, full moon, quarter moon, 3 moon, everything predictable because God set it up that way. And the result, of course, is that, we develop this type of love for everything. Now, getting back to the different worlds, I said I was going to give you the answer. I haven't given the answer yet. I'm making you stay for at least another half hour. So, anyway, here's what happens. You're in the spiritual world. I've just explained what real, deep, thick love is. You can't separate the heart of that individual from God's heart. All they do, and I've given you examples, the gopis of Vrindavan, the Gopas of Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, all the elders, all they're thinking about all day is how they can give pleasure to Krishna. This is their idea. This is what they want to do. So that type of love is such that there is no desire for independence, no desire to even ask, what is God experiencing when we love him? There's no such thoughts. They just express their love. But you go into Vaikuntha planets, it's a little different there. Because persons who love Krishna, not as strongly as they love him in Goloka. Remember I said that there's like a thin smear and you can pull the bricks apart? So in the Vaikuntha planets, the mood is primarily servitorship and adoration and awe, or awe and reverence. That's the main characteristic of those there. In Goloka, the main feelings there are friendship, close friendship, paternal feelings of protection and affection for Krishna. And then the gopis, they look at him romantically as their lovable boyfriend, and they just want to be around him all the time like that. So therefore, the love in the Goloka is much stronger, and there's very little chance of people taking an independent position. In the Vaikuntha planets, where the love is not so strong, They may want to exercise, and listen closely, their independence. Everyone has independence. You can get up now and walk out. Nobody's going to stop you. You can go into your house. You can come out of your house. Nobody's going to stop you. You can do what you want. You have independence. So, in the Vaikuntha planets, there's so many millions, what happens is that those persons who do not have, they love Krishna and they serve Krishna, but their love is not so intense. The result of that not having an intense love is that they feel, or they desire to exercise their independence, and they begin to wonder, what does it feel like? I forgot to mention one thing. In the Vaikuntha planets, they're all very joyful, they're peaceful, they're full of love, and they're full of, they have ecstasy, but the ecstasy in the Vaikuntha planets is nowhere near the ecstasy in the Goloka planets. Because the love is like this there, and the love is like this in the Vaikuntha planets. So the result of this is very interesting. The result is that when you don't have that intense, that deep, that very strong love that is seen, that is in the Goloka planets, if you don't have that, then the result is that a time may come when you begin to wonder, what does it feel like to be a Lord? Lord Vishnu is receiving all this adoration and distinction and glorification. Well, what does it feel like to be in that position? What does it taste like? What is the experience of lordship? Because all we do is we serve, we glorify, we honor, we look up to. But how does it feel to be on that side of the platform? So when that question becomes all-consuming, and one no longer wants to serve Lord Vishnu anymore, because he wants to experience what it's like to be a Vishnu. He wants to taste it. He wants to know it. And he loses his desire to serve. He no longer wants to serve. He's no longer qualified to stay in that particular eternal or area of the spiritual world. Can't. So he loses his qualification. The result is he's tossed down into the material world. He's covered with material energy. He's thrown with the material energy. And then he gets an opportunity. He's born into a family. And when he comes here, he loses completely the desire to want to know God, think about God. Even he loses the knowledge that he had, that he was part and parcel of God. All he knows is ignorance. That's what this world is about. Darkness, ignorance, motive, passion mainly, and ignorance. Some goodness there too, but the predominance, I should say, is passion and ignorance. So when a person comes here, therefore, in order for him to fulfill the ambition, the desire that he had in the lower level of the spiritual world, nothing to feel what it's like to be a Lord, then he has to be somebody. Well, you become a father, become a mother. So you can be a little Lord. You can tell your kid, hey, go here. No, don't do that. Get your finger out of your mouth. You know, don't pick your nose. Don't do these things. So you're Lord. You can tell him what to do. He has to do it because he depends upon you for his food, his clothing, his shelter, the kindness that you give him, the love that you give him. He's dependent. What if he do? He can't fight with you. Even if he does, he's going to lose. He knows that. So the point is this, is that you have some lordship. Mother can be lordship. Father is Lord. Kid grows up, bigger and bigger, and eventually he becomes the Lord and starts bossing the parents around. Tell the kid, come home at 11. I'll come home when I want to come home. This is the kind of retorts that you get nowadays. But if at least give us some idea, I'll give you an idea when I want to give you an idea. It's this kind of mentality, you know, rough and tough. So anyway, the important point is that when you come to, I've just given you a small example of small lordship, little lordship. Even the dog is a lord over the cat. He goes running, and the cat is running away. So he feels like a lord. The cat's running after the mouse. The cat's feeling like a mouse, not a mouse, but a lord. And the mouse is running after the cockroach. And the mouse is running after the The mouse feels like a lord. Everybody's getting a feeling, I'm small, I'm a big tough guy, until he gets eaten by somebody else. And then he realizes he's not a lord at all. He's just a nothing. He's just edible by some other creature. So getting back to a little bit more on the human platform, people realize nowadays we have movies, and we have sports, we have politics, we have big business. So a person may want to be a lord of the business. He wants to be a CEO, he wants to be a chief financial officer, and he struggles and he strives and finally gets there, and so many people are kowtowing to him, saying, yes, sir, no, sir, okay, sir, and if they don't obey him, you're fired, that kind of thing. He feels powerful. Or a person may be a sports athlete, and he may have Olympic medals, but that doesn't mean the person is happy. The only kind of happiness he has is what we call the happiness known as the happiness of false ego. The sense that I'm big, I'm great, I'm grand, I'm wonderful, but it's so temporary. You may be the CEO of a company for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, then finished, gone. What do you do when that's gone? You're no longer big shot. Nobody's saying, good morning, Mr. So-and-so. Wonderful to see you. I hope you're feeling well. Nobody even wants to recognize who you are. In fact, some of them won't even spit on you because you didn't treat them so nicely on Christmas. It happens. So anyway, the important point is that you get to be big. You can be a big baseball star, basketball star, football star, win Heisman trophies, big certificates. You can be in the educational system. You may get 4, 5, 6 PhDs. You got them all over your wall. But what are you going to do with them when finally, when you're too old and you can't really do the trade or do the occupation or that you were doing, and now all you're ready to do is to retire and play shuffleboard in the retirement home. So is that something to look forward to? So a person is empty. Quite often these people become depressed. I know because there was somebody in my family who was very well known, very famous, and don't ask me his name. He was very famous in his field, and he became depressed because people weren't buying what he had, and he was very, very depressed, empty. He had to take certain kinds of legal painkillers or panic attack dispersers. Anyway, the important point is that all these things, they build you get the happiness of the ego, but it lasts only as long as the body lasts. And then what happens is that after that happens, as long as the body lasts, what is going on in the back, please, if I can just get some idea? Is there some activity, something going to happen there? Huh? Garland. Oh, fine. Go ahead. Sure. Oh, not a problem. You can take as long as you like, as long as it's not noisy. I'm all for it. Yeah, thank you. Garlands are good. So anyway, getting back to the point, so a person gets the taste, gets the feeling, gets the experience of being a lord, being important, being a powerhouse. But it lasts for so long, and when he finally can no longer practice that, the result is that, as I said, what does it say? Depression, discontent, envy. Those guys are still doing it, and I'm not doing it. They're getting the praise, they're getting the honor, I'm not getting any more. So it's a terrible, horrible situation because the person is not getting the fulfillment that he would like. So that is what happens. Now, why do we want to always be happy? That was the question that I posed. Because in the spiritual world, everyone is always happy there. And it is our nature, the nature of the soul, to always be happy. That is our nature. But when the soul is covered over by material energy, what happens is that the natural bliss or joy, peace, strength that we normally have from the soul, it doesn't manifest anymore because it's covered. It's like if you've got a window, you've got sunlight outside, but your window is caked with filth and dirt and dust. What does it look like outside? You can hardly see anything, hardly any vision. Same thing when the soul is not being allowed, you see, to experience itself as pure bliss, pure joy, pure happiness, which its nature is, because it's covered and it's feeling the impress, it's feeling the effect of the three modes of material nature: darkness, lightness, in between, ignorance, passion, goodness, all of that. So the result is that the only means by which we can become happy is through external means. You can't feel the internal anymore, because what happens is the covering prevents you from experiencing that. You have to get rid of that covering, then you can feel who you are in your true, real sense. So it's like looking out a window, and as you clean the window, you can see the beauty of the trees, the houses out there, the sunshine, the flowers. All that beauty becomes visible when you clean. So when the covering is cleaned off, then you experience the natural bliss which you are. Otherwise, we go seeking and searching and hunting and looking for this bliss which we can't find, because it's inside. It's inside all of us, but kind of like a buried treasure. That's what it is. So finally, we looked for it in drinking alcohol. We looked for it in trying to be a great, whatever, sports athlete, movie stars. All of these people are ultimately frustrated unless they have a spiritual life. You can be anything and everything. You can be captain, you can be president, you can be premier, you can be anything, everything, if you have a spiritual life, if you are depending upon God, if you are worshiping Krishna, if you are doing things to please Him. So that's why we always want to be happy, because it's our real nature. But the real nature we're cut off from by the material energy. Just like we're cut off from the outside by a dirty window. Clean the window and you're no longer cut off. Clean the soul and you're no longer cut off. And what happens is you experience in connection with Krishna. You chant the holy name, you're connecting with Krishna, because Krishna is non-different from His name. So when we connect with Krishna, it stirs and stimulates the bliss within. The bliss is there, but like an ocean can be calm, it can be whipped up, 5-foot waves, 10-foot waves, 20-foot, 50 feet, 100 feet waves. That's big bliss, let me tell you. So what happens is that when you're chanting, like Lord Chaitanya, he was chanting and he was so ecstatic and he was feeling the presence of Krishna and he was just so joyful and so happy and so satisfied. And the result of this all is that he became ecstatic. Symptoms, he would be stunned one moment. The hairs on his body would be going up. There would be like what you call goosebumps, so big they look like peas. Yeah, big. So the goosebumps were on there. And there would be many other symptoms. Tears would be flowing. His teeth would be chattering. They looked like they were going to fall out of his mouth. And there were other symptoms I don't even get into, because some people may not be able to handle it. Really. So, but anyway, the symptoms were amazing. The symptoms, and that's what happens. You become so joyful. And what we want is we want to recover that joy which we have within, but we're not experiencing. So we go outside to get it. So yes, you may eat some chocolate, or you may take some 7-Ups, or you take some Pepsi-Cola. You want to keep the tongue going in joy, or the ears hearing some stimulating music, or the nose smelling roses and violets and what are they? Nagchampas, all of these beautiful, delicious smelling flowers to make up for what we've lost, that which is within. But how long does that pleasure last? You can sniff a flower and finally it loses its fragrance. It doesn't have any fragrance anymore. Take another one. Okay, that lasts 5 minutes. Loses. You eat. Take some ice cream. First few bites, delicious. Next few, a little less delicious. Next few, finally the tongue nerves, they become fatigued. You don't even taste the ice cream. What kind of happiness is that? It's very uncertain. It's very temporary. It's very moment to moment. But Krishna says that you can have continuous bliss and peace and strength and love and ecstasy if you just take shelter of me. If you take shelter of me, you will have that bliss. And it will always be, not immediately, but gradually over a period of time. I've been doing this in this movement 40 years, and as a yogi for 18 years. So when you put it all together, 58 years. And I'm feeling, yes, a lot of bliss, a lot of happiness, but still a long way to go. Krishna keeps showing you, you haven't reached the pinnacle. You haven't reached the summit yet. It's like climbing a mountain. And really, you don't even care, because all you care about is serving Krishna lovingly, with all your heart and soul, pleasing him, relieving him too. How do you relieve him? Every time you turn someone on to Krishna consciousness who's living a miserable life, and now he's starting to chant Hare Krishna, he's reading Prabhupada's books, or he's tasting and taking prasadam regularly, and that person has started on his journey back home, back to Godhead. Liberation has begun. That relieves Krishna to some extent, because he's feeling some degree of pain to see his children suffer. He's a sentient being. He has feelings. He wants everybody to have this bliss I'm talking about. But so many have left him due to independence, false independence. I don't need you, Krishna. I want to feel what it's like to be Krishna. So you leave Krishna, and the result of that is that we suffer. You get the pleasure of being a big shot, get the pleasure of being glorious, get the pleasure of being big, big, big. So many people honoring you, glorifying you, applauding you, asking for your autograph, asking for your picture. Like actors, they have these headshots, and they give them out with the autographs. And then you heard from your agent says, oh, you know, we were able to get out that 150,000 pictures went out yesterday with your autograph. Wow, just see my opulence. And how long will it last? Those pictures will be used, they'll go up into an attic, and they'll stay there and collect dust, and eventually they'll be burned in the fireplace. 50 years later, when you're not even known, when nobody could even care about who you are, what you did, except maybe in some record book that only your family members may read. So do you understand now? Is it clear why we want to always be happy? Because it's our nature to be happy, and we should be happy. But the wrong kind of happiness is being sought, the kind that is temporary, and I'm talking about that which is permanent. So we are now, let's see, it looks like almost 6:30. When do we break? What is the next? Give me a, I'm in a, huh? Pardon? 7 to 7:30 is Arctic? Okay, I can go for another half. No problem, because we have plenty to read. I want to be sure before I go on, is everyone clear on this very important point as to why we are seeking happiness? We want it all the time. And instead of getting it from within, we look from it outside, which only brings temporary pleasure and leads ultimately to misery. For example, if you just keep eating ice cream more and more and more and more, you get sick. Or you eat, you eat 2 big pies of pizza, big ones, you get sick. And then what happens? So you had all that pleasure, and what is it followed by? What? Tell me. Pain and suffering and sorrow. What's the benefit? You enjoyed for 2 hours, and now you suffered for the whole day. It's not even a fair deal. You suffer for 24 hours and you get 2 hours of pizza joy. Very bad deal. It could be that. It could be so many different foods that we become addicted to. Anyway, the important point is that there is a way out of all this misery. Seek the kingdom within. Seek the Lord within. Seek the pleasure that he can give you, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to seek service, and the natural outgrowth of your service will be the bliss that Krishna will give you. You don't have to look for bliss. You don't have to think about it. It comes automatically. As long as you're dedicating sincerely and seriously Your love to the Lord, whether you're cooking, whether you're playing the guitar, whether you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're giving out books to people about Krishna consciousness, Krishna will be pleased with you. Very, very pleased. No question about it. And you will know that he's pleased by the joy that you will feel within. A joy that passes all understanding, that passeth all intellectuality. It passes everything in the material world because it takes you to the transcendental realm, the higher plateau of true, pure, blissful living. Okay? So I'm going to continue reading. Is that clear? Everything that I've discussed. Does anyone have any questions on these points that I've made about real bliss, fake bliss? I didn't even get to the bliss of drugs. That's fake bliss, and it definitely, let me just deal with that for just a few minutes. Sometimes persons, they'll take heroin or they'll take cocaine, and they feel very blissful because it's made of chemicals which bring you to a higher state. But it's artificial. It's a quick fix. You're miserable, you feel terrible, you feel down. Yeah, please offer your obeisances, please, everybody. So yes, you feel miserable, you feel down, you feel horrible, and you want to pick up, so you take some cocaine, or you take some heroin, you take some ecstasy, or whatever it is, PCP, whatever is your diet of drug. And or now they have this OxyContin. Yeah, please come, sit down. Do you need a chair? No. Okay. So anyway, what happens is that gradually, because you're miserable all the time, the only way out of the misery is the drug. So what happens? You become gradually habituated to the drug. You have to take it. Otherwise, you feel terrible. So every time you feel miserable, you take the drug. From habituation, it goes to addiction. From addiction, it goes to very terrible things. If you can't get the drug, if you don't have enough money to get it, or you don't have resources to trade in, to get money, people they lose their conscience. Now, that's not spiritual. If I want to mug you to get your money just so that I can get my hit, well, what kind of spirituality is that? If I want to murder you to get all of your money from your house, and I'm ready to do that just so that I can get my drug, is there any conscience? Is there any spirituality? Real spirituality means I become more empathetic to you, more sympathetic to you. I have more rapport with you. I feel your feelings more. Not I become callous to you, indifferent to you, unthinking about you, uncaring about you, that when I harm you, I don't even care whether you're in pain, as long as I got mine. This is the mentality of a drug addict. And when he finally gets arrested or something like that, and he has to, if he's been taking heroin, and he has to do what they call cold turkey or the withdrawal symptoms, oh, the pain and suffering that he has to go through on that is not worth it. But because of the fact that the person is miserable, very often they go back to it. Same with alcohol. They go back to it because they're miserable. And that's why they need to get real happiness. This misery that you get from being a big shot, it doesn't really fly. I mean, you take this, what's his name? He's a big comedian, genius comedian, and he committed suicide. What was his name? Huh? Not hearing. Robin Williams, thank you, yeah. I can hear, but the sound spreads out, especially when I hear several together. So Robin Williams, he was apparently a happy person. He was a brilliant comic, and he was a nice person. Devotees gave him books at the airport. Some of my own friends had given him some books. He obviously never read them. If he read them, he was too busy making movies to really get into them. And he would get into terrible, great depressions. Can you imagine? Here's a man who could make millions and millions of people laugh, but in his own heart, there's a darkness there. And it got so dark one day that he just took a noose and he strung it, and I think he hung himself up on some door thing. Here is a man with millions of dollars, fame, friends, people loved him, and yet he was miserable. It shows you being famous, being big, like they have America's Got Talent, and they've got American Idol, and when you win, everybody goes, yay! They're all cheering for his misery. That's what they're cheering for. This person is going to be miserable. And they, yay, let's give it out, you know. They say like that. Yeah, give him what? Give him, let's applaud his misery that he's going to get. Everybody thinks they're going to be happy. If you find out the reality of what goes on behind the scenes, it's not so happy. But it all looks very happy because we want fame. Why? God has fame, I want fame. And then I find out that the fame that God has is real. The fame that I have is temporary, not real, and brings misery in the ultimate analysis. It doesn't mean that you can't be famous. Like, look, George Harrison, he was famous, and he's a musician, and he practiced Krishna consciousness, and he was able to have a spiritual life, and at the same time, as he was very famous, and he wrote some very beautiful songs too. So there is where he used his fame to spread Krishna consciousness. You know, that My Sweet Lord and that Govinda album that he wrote. Many people, in England, millions of people were singing Hare Krishna. He wanted to be a devotee, shave up and all. Prabhupada, no, you stay a musician. And just, you create good music, Krishna conscious music. So he took that as like from Guru, and he did just that. And many people were definitely benefited by just hearing the holy name, let alone chanting the holy name. So you can use your fame, your name, your glory, but don't try to be famous to spread Krishna consciousness. If you're already famous and you're already up there, then use it. But Prabhupada said, no, don't start from the bottom. It's better to just start from the bottom, trying to become Krishna conscious. The competition, unless you're karmically set up, is so great that it's unlikely that you will succeed. So many devotees I know never really succeeded. But those who are already up there, well, they already succeeded. They just transformed their repertoire into a more Krishna-conscious repertoire. Okay? So this is a very important point, that we don't want to ever take these. That's why we have as 4 regulative principles. One of them is don't take any intoxication or take any drugs or take any of the things which are addictive. And if we do, then we're only harming ourselves. And we may take 2 steps forward in Krishna consciousness, coming here, worshiping the deity, chanting Hare Krishna. Then you take 3 steps backwards when you take some alcohol or you take some marijuana. Or that sometimes even in the ashrams, people get this hunger, and they don't know how to handle it, so they go a few blocks away and they light up. You know, I hear about all, and then a few weeks later they're out because it just doesn't mix. Eventually, material energy is so powerful, and it will win you, it will capture you. Prabhupada used to say, and listen to this, he used to say when he said to the devotees, he said, the reason I don't fall down, and I will never fall down for this reason. I could fall down, theoretically I could, because I'm a living entity. He says, but I won't fall down because I'm always begging Krishna to please protect me from Maya. Maya is so powerful. Maya is so strong. She can overwhelm you, overcome you, and make you think you're so strong that you can beat her, you can defeat her. That's her. Maya means that which is not. So whatever she tells you is really the opposite. Sure, you can take the drugs, take cigarettes, do this, do that. You're strong, you're powerful. You can stop at any time. How many persons I've heard who smoke cigarettes say, look, I'm doing this because I want to. I don't do it because I can stop any time I want. But do they? Of course they don't. Until finally they come out with lung cancer, which then becomes incurable, or they have to cut out a part of the person's lung or cut the whole lung out. Why have to go to do that? Why should we have to go through all that? And Krishna has given us the means by which we can live a healthy and happy and salutary, beneficial life, and we can share that kind of life with so many others who are needy, really poverty-stricken, no matter how big they are. Look at this big-time swimmer. He just won another few medals. What is his name? 8 gold medals. Michael Phelps. Yeah. Michael Phelps, he's an alcoholic. It means, it's a fact. I'm not saying this to make you laugh. He's an alcoholic, and he was even seen smoking one of those hashish pipes. It was right in, I think it was it Newsweek, Time magazine. I saw it with my own eyes. And I read about it. He was alcoholic, and he was driving under the influence, and he crashed his car into somebody. Really great being an Olympic star. He got 8 medals, and let me tell you, he lost a lot of endorsements. In other words, when you get that big, all the big companies, you know, like the water goggles, the swimsuits, the nose things, everything that connects with swimming, you endorse it, and they give you millions of dollars. So when they heard he was an alcoholic and he was bashed into people's cars, he lost millions of dollars just as a result of that. It means he was not really happy. He had the big false ego happiness, but he knew he was always under anxiety. Could he continue? Would it go on? And how long will it go on? And when you have that anxiety, you're miserable. When you're miserable, you needed some fix to stop it, to feel cheerful and giddy and okay. So you take the rum, or you take Coca-Cola, rum and cocoa. You take the you take the vodka, or you take the whatever you know, all these different types of alcohol or whiskey. Because you need it, you can't stand the misery. It's unbearable. So that way you feel giddy. Anybody here have ever been drunk? You don't want to put your hands up, I know. All right, don't put your hands up. Actually, if you have been drunk and you're here, that's a good sign. It means it works. Krishna consciousness is working well. Anyway, whether you don't have to tell me. So if you've ever been drunk, I know I was drunk. I'm not proud of it, but I'm glad to say it because I have no desire for alcohol. In fact, if I even put it on my tongue, I'd spit it out immediately. It's horrible. So, but anyway, when you get drunk, you get giddy and laughable, and you tell stupid jokes, and you just go on talking, and you can't even hold a logical, reasonable conversation. Yeah, I remember when I had so much fun visiting the Empire State Building, and looking down at those stupid people. It was a real blast, you know. So you feel that's called happiness. Happiness in the mode of ignorance, for sure. So anyway, the important point is that I want to make to everybody is that those things they're artificial. Let's live real. Let's live true. Let's live for God. Let's live for Krishna. Let's give our whole heart to Him and experience the kind of happiness that He wants to give us. He's so eager to share Himself. He says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path. So when we surrender to Krishna, He rewards us with what? With Himself. And what is He? He's truth. He's peace. He's strength. He's love. He's goodness. He's energy. He's patience. He's devotion. He has all these wonderful qualities, and He's ready to share all of them with us. I reward them. That's the reward. He gives us Himself. We only have to put some time in and chanting with our whole heart, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant that name, but chant it with the heart, chant it with love, chant it with dedication, chant it with, with appreciation, chant it with glorification, chant it with affection. All these feelings should be intermixed in the chanting process. Let us overcome the robotic type of chanting that I often see. It sounds like an auctioneer at a tobacco auction. Seriously. I don't know if you ever heard one of those. Sold American, you know, like that. So that's the way the devotees, sometimes they're chanting. And then you got the sleep chanters. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. No, it's a half hour later. Where have I been? Go to sleep early. That's where you've been. And get up early so that you don't nod out in the chanting process. Yeah, chant with the whole heart, with a feeling of indebtedness. Krishna's, look at us, we have all the food. We're going to have such nice prasadam soon. And we had beautiful days, how balmy and beautiful, and the light was, and the trees looked so green. And Krishna is giving us all this. So out of indebtedness, out of appreciation, out of affection, we should be chanting with a sense of, oh, my Lord, you're so kind. First of all, you've just told me about the holy name, how great and glorious it is. And I'm so happy to have it. Because so many billions and trillions of people all over the universe, they don't have it. And I'm so grateful that you gave it to me, and I have committed so many offenses and wrongs and sins and evils, and yet in spite of that you have forgiven me simply because I have apologized to you for that. And I have begged your forgiveness and asked you to please enable me, allow me, permit me, arrange for me so that I can come back to you and come back to the spiritual world and serve you forever. Feel that indebtedness in your heart. And if you feel that indebtedness, then you feel the food will taste better. It really does. And the green of the leaves look greener. And the beauty of the flowers or the fragrance of the rose smells sweeter. The more we are Krishna conscious, you see. So that's the point. Well, we have 15 more minutes. Okay, I've got plenty to read. So I'm only on page 3, and we got 16 pages. So I'll keep you here all night if you like. No, I won't. No. Okay, getting back to where I left off. Is everyone clear on these points? I dealt with the subject of drugs now and why we should not and how. You see, these are the things I like to talk to in the class, but we never have enough time to. So this was 4 hours today, and I'm grateful that you're sitting here because it gives me an opportunity to share this knowledge. I just want to keep it for myself and give it to you so that you can use it in your own life. So if the temptation comes, just think about it. Wait a minute. There's a better form of happiness than what this is going to give me. Why not go for that? Why not go for take the discipline, and through the discipline, get the real and true happiness? Okay, going to the next point. I'm trying to find it. Oh, this sentence is long. Yes. This society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, was started single-handedly by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. But because people are coming forward and dealing with the give and take policy, the society is now expanding all over the world. We have so many temples now, with so many hundreds of thousands of devotees now. Temple devotees and we call congregational devotees. We are glad that people are donating very liberally to the development of the society's activities. And people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contribution we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines dealing strictly with the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. We sometimes hold Hare Krishna festivals and invite life members and friends to participate in the feasting by accepting prasad. Although most of our members come from the higher rungs of society, middle class and upper class, they nonetheless come and take whatever little prasad we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the methods of performing devotional service. I've just given some of those, how we should chant, with the whole heart and in the right mood. And we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world. And the intelligentsia of all countries is gradually appreciating our Krishna-conscious activities. The life of the Krishna-conscious society is nourished by these 6 types of loving exchange, which I already mentioned before. Let's go over them. Let's get them memorized now. First thing is giving what? Starts with a P. Giving prasad. Second. What is the second? I don't hear. Accepting prasad. Okay? Third thing is, just raise your hand, because when all the voices come together, it spreads out and it's hard to define the one. What is the third thing? Raise your hand if you know. Starts with the letter R. Okay, huh? No. That's a good thing to do, but that's not one. It's revealing your mind in confidence, okay? You got something, as we say, bothering you or bugging you or disturbing you, you reveal it to a person who has some spiritual development or authority. Fourth one starts with the letter I. Anyone? Yeah? Yes, perfect. Inquiring confidentially about questions that you have about this philosophy. Just as I keep asking, do you have a question? Is there any doubt? Is there any uncertainty? Inquiring confidentially. And then there are two more. The fifth one starts with a G. I got to say, raise your hand and speak loud. Yeah, perfect. Okay, you gave them both. Giving gifts and receiving gifts. That's excellent. So I'm glad. Please try to get these memorized because they should work them into your daily life. Always ask yourself at the end of the day, what did I give on behalf of Krishna to anyone else? Did I give some knowledge? Did I give a book? Did I give prasadam? Did I give persons a song? Did I give them a verse? Something that's Krishna conscious. And that way we keep in mind the giving of gifts. And when somebody offers you a gift, please accept it. Sometimes people say, no, I'm too low. I'm too small. I'm too worthless. Don't give me anything. What kind of talk is this? Prabhupada never refused gifts. When a person gives you his gift or her gift, that's his or her love coming from God. Should we reject God's love? Never. We should accept the gift and thank the Lord, thank the person graciously, thank the Lord from our heart, and then in our heart, whatever the gift is, use it and always think of Krishna when you use it. That's the whole point of it. And if persons give you the gift of praise or honor, or they glorify you, or they applaud you for something, accept it graciously. Don't say, no, I don't want any praise. I'm doing this for God. What kind of talk is that? You can do it for God and accept the praise, but accept the praise on his behalf. Okay? They give you the praise, thank you very much, and you pass it on. Lord, you deserve it. You're the one who enabled me to do it. You're the one who permitted me to do it. You're the one who arranged for me to do it. Therefore, the gift is yours. You deserve it. I'm simply your humble servant. Okay? And we all understand this principle? The principle, if you keep it, you'll be proud. If you keep it, you think you're a big shot. You'll think you're superior to everyone. And as soon as somebody insults you, you'll feel crushed. Or you'll blast out and get into a fight. You see these kids fighting today. Even I see girls bashing each other on the news, you see. This is unthinkable years ago. I mean, maybe some ladies, they would think in their mind, but never to get into fist fights with other girls. I mean, they're crazy. And now the prisons are swelling with female inmates now. This was unheard of years ago. It was they just had small prisons for women because they hardly ever committed crimes. Now with women's liberation, they got liberated so they can be as crazy as the men and commit crimes. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so therefore, what do we have now? Devotees of ISKCON? So I've asked you the 6 ways. We have 5 more minutes. Are there any questions at this point in time? Questions about whatever I talked about, or even things in general which have some relationship to God consciousness? Yes, please.
You mentioned about spiritual planets when spirit souls associate with Krishna, they seem so happy, but what triggers them to desire to experience what Krishna is
feeling
as the Lord? Yeah, like is there some kind of, to cause this effect?
Well, I did mention, I explained, and I'll explain again. The first thing is that their love is not that strong. Love is what binds you to the Lord. Those who have big love, they stick. They can't leave. They don't want to leave. Those who have little bit of love, that allows them to feel independent of Krishna. In other words, when your love is small, you can divorce yourself, you can separate yourself and think independently. So when you think independently, you say, then you start thinking, well, what does it feel like, to be worshipped and honored and glorified in this? But when you're in love with Krishna and you're serving Krishna and you feel bound to him and you just want to, you don't even think such an idea. All you want to do is serve, 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 serve. That is your real food, your service. Not so with those who have much less love. Okay? Yes, please.
And how could somebody be in the spiritual world with Krishna if they only had small love and leave the spiritual world? So.
Well, small love, did you want to say more? Okay. Small love can be pure small love. It's not impure. They love him purely, unconditionally, undemandingly. It's pure, but it's not so strong. Strength is something you develop, and you get it by the grace of Krishna. The more you give to him, the more you express to him, the more you want to please him, the more grace he gives you, and that grace makes your love stronger and stronger and bigger. So that which is like this gradually grows like this, you see. So if they didn't do any more, if they were not strong in their love, even the Vaikuntha planets, what happens, that independence is always there. But the bigger the love gets from here to here, they give up that independence and they surrender. The surrender is already there too, but you can surrender and surrender. You can totally surrender and then withdraw if that surrender is not tight, it's not intense, it's not firm, if it's weak, but it's still there. So as soon as, if the surrender is not as strong as those who have love like this, or as I said, this, then what happens, you can step back, be independent, ask those questions, and desire to be a Lord. Ultimately, a person is very, very sad, sorrowful, and comes back to the eternal world and never returns to this material world, because Krishna promises, if you come back, you don't have to. If you come back to the spiritual world, you never have to come back to this world. You've learned your lesson. And then your love becomes so intense, you know why you must love more and more and more, and give more and more and more. Okay? Does that answer your question? You're quite welcome. Any other questions from tonight? And we have 3 minutes to go before the curtain opens up. If you'd like to take a 7th inning stretch now, you're welcome to do that. Or unless, if there, you have another question? Oh, yeah, go ahead, please.
So it's possible to enter a planet in the Vaikuntha and fall from that route?
Fall from Vaikuntha?
Yes.
Well, that's what I've been talking about. That's where you do fall from. It's very rare, although it does happen, Prabhupada said it does happen, but rarely from the Goloka Vrindavan planet, it's rare that anybody will fall. The love is too intense. They're always thinking of Krishna. But in the Vaikuntha planet, because awe and reverence, that's the main feelings, awe and reverence and servitorship is there. But as I said, the intensity of the love is not so great. So that's where you fall from. You fall from the Vaikuntha planet. That's where. Hardly from the Goloka planet. It can. And people can fall from the Goloka planet. And some have. Because even if love is like this, you have always independence. And you can use that independence. But it's very unlikely when your love is so great, so big, that you will want to even step away from Krishna because the ecstasy is so great. If you're feeling such ecstasy, why would you want to even separate yourself from Krishna for a moment? The gopis of Vrindavan, even when Krishna left physically, they never separated mentally. They were always thinking of him. They had the big love, you see. And most of them have come down with Krishna to set the perfect example of what real deep love is. And many women who are coming from material world who had some love for Krishna, by associating with these more advanced gopis, their love grew very, very big, because in association you can absorb many of these loving vibrations, spiritual vibrations of other people. So that's the way it works. One thing is that I keep repeating this, Srila Prabhupada mentioned over and over again. And I said it once today. He said, the only reason I don't fall down and won't fall down is that I know how powerful Maya is. Therefore, I pray to Krishna, my dear Lord, please, please protect me. Don't ever let me be taken over by your Maya. I want to serve you always. So that precautionary mentality obliges the Lord to make sure that Prabhupada is completely protected, insulated. Like if you put some asbestos on your body, asbestos cloth, and you put it in the fire, it doesn't burn because that's the nature of the chemical. It's a retardant, okay? So when you have the retardant of Krishna's mercy upon you, it repels Maya. Besides, Maya, when Krishna says, you leave him alone, she disappears. Because she's a servant also. Maya is a servant. We don't describe Maya like the devil. Like in the Catholic, he's a devil. That kind of a thing. More than that. Devil doesn't ever appear like a servant. He's like a rebel against God. Maya is not a rebel against God. Maya is a servant. And for those persons who want to enjoy and become a big shot and this, she helps them out at Krishna's behest. Go help them out. Get them illusioned. That's what they want. So she helps them become illusioned. And when they want to be disillusioned, then Krishna says, okay, let go, leave him off. He's chanting Hare Krishna, he's worshipping, so ease up now, ease up. Krishna is just helping, like that. Any other? I think we're just about ready. The doors are going to open now? Okay, so we can conclude now. We will, at 7:30, what time do we resume? 7:30 we restart. So those of you who have been able to last this long, if you've got another wind, then please join us. I'd love to share more with you. Give me that opportunity. My only goal is to enable, to help, assist you in developing more and more love for Krishna. And if you have that, you have everything and even more. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Gopiyallabh ki jai.